The sun hung low over the jagged landscape of Korath Ridge, casting long shadows across the rocky plains. The air smelled faintly of metal and dust, a reminder that the settlers' machines had long passed through here. Amid the rocks, a lone figure struggled. Lila's leg was wedged between two enormous stones, and no matter how hard she twisted and pulled, she couldn't free herself. "Help! Somebody, please," she shouted, her voice echoing against the barren cliffs. The wind carried her plea across the ridge, but the empty terrain offered no answer. Her heart pounded, not from fear alone, but from the slow realization that she might be here until nightfall. She gritted her teeth. "Think, Lila, you're not helpless. Humans have faced worse." She scanned the ridge. In the distance, she spotted movement, a figure on a tall, sleek hoverbike weaving through the rocky paths. His silhouette gleamed against the setting sun. Hope surged. "Hey, over here!" she called, waving her arms. The rider slowed, dismounting with a graceful leap. His dark coat flared behind him as he approached. "You're in quite the spot," he said calmly, scanning the stones. "How did you manage this? I was exploring," Lila admitted, biting her lip. "I misjudged the gap between the stones. Now I can't get out." He knelt beside her and inspected her leg. "No worries. Humans are clever. We'll get you out." "I'm Calder, by the way." "Lila," she replied, trying not to tremble. Calder's eyes narrowed, not in suspicion, but in calculation. He scanned the rocks around her, noticing the unique patterns of fractures and the mineral composition. "These stones, they're heavier than they look, but there's a way to shift them," he said. He reached into a small pack and pulled out a set of devices, levers, wedges, and a strange glowing tool. "What's that?" Lila asked, her curiosity momentarily overtaking panic. "An anti-gravity manipulator," Calder said with a grin. "Humans may not be the strongest species in the galaxy, but we invent. And we're stubborn." He set the device on the ground, adjusting it with precision. A soft hum filled the air, and the stones around Lila began to vibrate lightly. Slowly, they lifted just enough for her leg to slide free. She gasped, standing shakily. I can't believe it," she said, marveling at the device. "How did you learn to use that?" Calder shrugged. "Trial and error. Humans always find a way. It's in our nature to fix problems. Some species might rely on strength or raw power. We rely on wit and persistence." Lila studied him, noting the calm confidence in his movements. "You make it sound so simple." "It's not simple," he admitted. "It takes practice, patience, and the willingness to try again when you fail. You'll see that a lot in this galaxy. Out here, you can't always rely on others to save you. You have to save yourself first and help others whenever you can." She nodded slowly, feeling a new respect for the human ingenuity he represented. "Thank you, Calder. I don't know what I would have done." "Don't thank me yet," he said, smiling. "The ridge is full of surprises. We're not out of danger just because your leg is free. Follow me." He mounted his hoverbike and extended a hand to Lila. Hesitant at first, she took it and he helped her onto the vehicle behind him. The bike rose smoothly, floating above the uneven terrain as he guided her along a narrow path that twisted between jagged stone formations. As they traveled, Lila noticed the remnants of old settlements carved into the cliffs. There were abandoned habitats, solar arrays cracked and covered in moss, and half-buried machines that must have once belonged to explorers long gone. She realized that humans had pushed the boundaries of this world before, leaving traces of their persistence and creativity. "You've explored here before?" she asked, pointing at the ruins. "I've seen some of it," Calder said. "Humans are everywhere in the galaxy now. Some settle, some explore, some just wander. But wherever we go, we leave something behind. Sometimes it's a settlement, sometimes it's a solution, sometimes just a memory." Lila smiled faintly, thinking about her own small attempts at exploration. "I thought I was clever," she admitted. "But clearly I'm just learning." "That's the point," Calder said. "No one is born clever. We learn, we adapt, we try again, and sometimes that's enough to survive and thrive." They rounded a corner and a soft glow appeared in the distance. It was a small dome-shaped structure humming with life. "That's the outpost," Calder said. "We can rest there. They have food, water, and communication links. You're safe for now." Lila's shoulders relaxed for the first time since her leg got stuck. The idea of warmth, light, and human company was comforting. She looked at Calder with renewed admiration. "You really are human, aren't you? Clever, resourceful, and kind," he laughed. "We like to think we are." But don't forget it's not just me. There's a whole network of humans out here who look out for one another. That's how we survive in strange worlds. As they approached the outpost, a group of humans emerged to greet them, waving and calling out friendly greetings. Lila marveled at the sight. Humans of every shape, size and background working together, sharing knowledge, and maintaining a fragile but thriving community on a distant world. Inside the outpost, Lila was given a warm drink and a soft seat. Calder stood nearby, watching her with a quiet smile. "Rest," he said. "Tomorrow we can talk about what's ahead. There's more to this ridge than just stones." As night fell outside, Lila thought about the day's events. She had been trapped, scared, and uncertain, yet she had found help, guidance, and inspiration from a fellow human. It was a reminder of the potential within her species. Ingenuity, courage, and a refusal to give up. And she realized that no matter how dangerous or strange a world might be, humans would find a way. Not because they were the strongest or fastest, but because they were clever, persistent, and willing to help one another. For the first time, Lila felt more than relief. She felt a spark of hope. She had survived the stones. She had learned the power of human ingenuity. And she knew that her adventure on Korath Ridge was only beginning. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the translucent dome of the outpost. Lila stretched and rubbed her leg, which now felt sore but free from the stones. Calder was already moving around, checking instruments, calibrating devices, and noting the weather patterns outside. Even in the calm of the outpost, there was a quiet energy, humans at work, preparing for the challenges the ridge would bring. "Good morning," Calder said, turning to her with a grin. "Ready for the next step?" "I think so," Lila replied, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. "What is it?" "We're going to map the ridge," Calder explained. "There's a plateau on the far side with unique mineral formations. Some are stable, some not so much. Human ingenuity has to stay sharp if we want to explore safely." Lila nodded. The thought of another adventure was thrilling. She had already learned that humans weren't strong like some species in the galaxy, but their cleverness, persistence, and teamwork made them extraordinary. She wanted to test herself, to see how far she could push her own limits. They gathered their gear and headed toward the hoverbike bays. Calder handed Lila a small scanning device. "This will help detect unstable formations and energy pockets. Just follow the readings and we'll navigate safely." The ride across Korath Ridge was breathtaking. The sun rose higher, revealing valleys and cliffs that stretched farther than Lila had imagined. Strange flora clung to the rocky slopes. Luminescent mosses, flexible crystal-like plants, and small flying creatures with delicate wings that reflected the sunlight like prisms. Every turn of the path presented a new wonder. "This place is incredible," Lila said, leaning forward to get a better look. "It is," Calder agreed, "and it reminds us why humans explore. Not just to settle, but to understand, to learn, to see things no one else has seen. That's our strength, curiosity combined with ingenuity." They reached a narrow canyon where the stones formed a natural maze. Calder paused. "The readings show energy fluctuations. It's not dangerous, but we need to pay attention. Follow me carefully." As they navigated the twisting paths, Lila noticed the rocks reacting to the scanning device. A faint glow appeared along the fractures, indicating weak points. She adjusted the scanner and pointed them out to Calder. "Good eye," he said. "Humans notice details others might miss. That's how we survive in New World. By being observant, patient, and creative. Never underestimate the power of paying attention." Hours passed as they moved deeper into the ridge. They climbed over crystal outcroppings, crossed shallow streams, and marveled at the strange patterns in the rocks. Lila's confidence grew. She realized that human exploration was not just about reaching a destination, but about learning to think critically, adapt, and solve problems on the fly. At midday, they reached the plateau. The view was astonishing. A wide expanse of glittering stones, some rising like towers, others forming smooth reflective plains. The scanning device beeped constantly, indicating energy flows beneath the surface. "This is it," Calder said. "Time to gather data and see what secrets this place holds." They set up temporary sensors and equipment. Lila learned to place probes, record readings, and calibrate instruments. Each task required precision and patience. She realized that ingenuity wasn't only about creating machines. It was also about using tools wisely, observing patterns and making small adjustments that could prevent disaster. Suddenly, the scanner showed an anomaly. One of the crystal towers had a deep cavity, and energy readings suggested it could shift if disturbed. Lila pointed it out to Calder. Exactly, he said, examining the data. See? If we just rush forward, we might destabilize it. But if we plan, we can explore safely and even learn from it. Calder retrieved a compact anti-gravity manipulator, similar to the one that had freed Lila's leg the day before. He demonstrated how to create a small controlled lift of the crystals, allowing them to examine the cavity without causing harm. Lila assisted, carefully positioning devices under his guidance. As the crystals floated gently, Lila peered inside the cavity. She gasped. Tiny bioluminescent creatures had made the hollow their home, weaving intricate patterns with silvery threads that shimmered in the sunlight. They're beautiful, she whispered. Humans don't just explore for themselves, Calder said softly. We observe, protect, and understand. Ingenuity isn't just about solving problems. It's about respecting the world we explore and leaving it better than we found it. The two of them spent the afternoon documenting the creatures, recording environmental data, and noting the unique mineral structures. Lila's admiration for human ingenuity deepened. It wasn't just tools or clever machines, it was thoughtfulness, curiosity, and the will to protect life and knowledge. As evening approached, they began their return journey. The ridge glowed with the last light of the sun, casting long shadows and golden highlights across the stones. Lila felt a deep satisfaction. She had not only survived but had actively contributed to the exploration. Humans weren't the strongest, the fastest, or the most powerful species, but they were clever, persistent, and capable of remarkable things. On the way back, a small challenge arose. A narrow bridge of stones, slick from the morning's dew, blocked their path. Calder examined it carefully. We can't rush this, but we can build a temporary path. Using portable panels and stabilizing beams, Calder constructed a safe crossing. Lila assisted, placing beams under his instructions. Together, they created a stable bridge and both crossed carefully. Lila felt a surge of pride. This was what human ingenuity looked like. Facing obstacles, thinking creatively, and solving problems together. When they returned to the outpost, the community welcomed them warmly. Other explorers asked about the plateau, the creatures, and the crystals. Lila realized that exploration was not just about personal discovery. It was about sharing knowledge and building collective wisdom. Humans survived and thrived because they helped each other, learned together, and applied their cleverness for the good of all. That night, Lila sat outside the dome, gazing at the stars above Korath Ridge. The sky was vast and unending, filled with worlds humans had yet to explore. She thought about the stones that had trapped her, the challenges she had faced, and the lessons she had learned. Humans were small in the galaxy, but they had something unique, a spark of ingenuity, courage, and cooperation that allowed them to turn even the harshest worlds into places of wonder and possibility. Calder joined her, handing her a warm drink. You've done well today, he said. Not just surviving, but thinking, observing, and contributing. That's what makes humans. Well, humans, Lila smiled. I feel like I've grown already, and there's so much more to learn. That's the beauty of it, Calder said. Every world, every ridge, every challenge teaches us something new. We're explorers, learners, and problem solvers. And wherever we go, we leave a mark. Not just on the land, but on the future. The night stretched on, quiet except for the gentle hum of the outpost and the whispering wind across the ridge. Lila felt a profound connection to her species, to the ingenuity that had freed her leg, guided her through challenges, and revealed the wonders of the plateau. Humans might not have the raw strength of some creatures in the universe, but they had something far more enduring, the courage to try, the wisdom to learn, and the creativity to make a difference. She thought about the stories she would tell, the maps she would help create, and the discoveries yet to come. Humanity had reached far across the stars, not because of sheer force, but because of thought, persistence, and heart. And in that realization, Lila found not only hope but a sense of belonging, a reminder that humans, clever and determined, could face any challenge and thrive. As she drifted to sleep under the dome, surrounded by the gentle glow of human activity and the distant twinkle of stars, Lila knew that her adventure on Korath Ridge was only the beginning. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, and new opportunities to test the ingenuity that defined her species, and she was ready.